Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel, North Garden Comics. My name is Chris, and today we're going on another comic book adventure where I show you the good comics I find for great prices at different shows, sales, and conventions. Today's adventure is actually part 2 of a 2-part adventure where I'll finish up showing you these stacks of comics behind me that I picked up at a local show called the Comic Card Show. Check it out. Okay, in a minute I'm going to zoom in and I will finish showing you these books, but you heard me say in the intro that this is part 2 of a 2-part comic book adventure. I will post a link to that first part in the description below, but to give you a quick recap, the books here came from a local show called the Comic Card Show, which focuses on comic books, creators, sports cards, and related memorabilia. Cost $5 to get in. Pretty much all the books that I'm going to show you cost me 50 cents a piece. There's a couple that I paid $1 for, and then 3 or so that I paid $1.50 for. But as is my habit when I go to these shows, I'm always looking at those low price books, and I try to find the best things I could possibly find, best condition, best keys, things like that, to complete runs based on story, creator, title, etc. That being said, let's go ahead, shift gears, and finish showing you these books. All right, here we go with stack number 2. First 2 books here are Silver Surfer books. They are from a mini-series called Silver Surfer Requiem, which was a 4-part series done, I think, around 2007. And I bought these first and foremost because of the artist, Esad Ribic, down here, because I had gotten into his art after the Marvel Secret Wars event series that they did in 2015. Really like his art style, kind of painting like, but love his approach to these books. And Silver Surfer, I also love that character, and so that was a good combination. So I found numbers 2 and 3 this day at this show for $1 a piece, and I've since found numbers 1 and 4 as well and read the whole story. Cool story, you know, just 4 parts out of continuity, but it tells the story of Silver Surfer's death. Sorry if that's a spoiler alert, that's the whole purpose of the title, Silver Surfer Requiem. But he learned that the kind of candy coating, whatever, I forget what it's called, his protective coating that Galactus gave him to be able to safely surf the spaceways and protect him from the radiation and the extreme cold and the vacuum of space, was deteriorating, and he had gone to Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, for help. Reed couldn't do anything to help him, so just realized, if I'm going to die, let me go around, visit the places, and see the people that I want to one last time. So just kind of a nice send-off for this character. Great story. Highly recommend it. $1 a piece. This book here, Squadron Supreme, comes from as you can see, it's number 10 in a 12-part limited series from, I think, around 1985. I don't have any particular attachment to these characters, but this was another mini-series that, just kind of as a comic book collector, seemed like it would be something worth having in my collection. And you can pick up pretty decent condition copies for 50 cents or $1, and I paid 50 cents for this, so grab that. All right, these next 3 books actually are the most expensive books I bought that day. They're not $3, they were $1.50 though, so big spender. These are issues from Transformers, the IDW world of Transformers. They currently own the license to do Transformers comics, but if you were a Transformers fan or are a Transformers fan and have not read these, I would highly recommend them. IDW was world building for about 13 years on the Transformers titles and franchise, and they just have some great stories, fantastic character development, great art. And these 3 issues were part of the, I guess it was just called the Transformers Ongoing series, and I think these are from around 2010, but they just reset that universe, gosh, I don't know, was that last year sometime? But these characters are fantastic, like I said, so highly recommend them. And today, for $1.50 a piece, I picked up 19, 20, and 21. And the reason I was picking these up is because when these were coming out, when they were new, I was not able to collect every title that I wanted every month, and so I have some gaps in my collection, and these 3 helped me to go back and fill in a few of those holes. All right, Thor, God of Thunder, very popular title, and I was first drawn to this again because of the artist Esad Ribic from around, again, that same time as Secret Wars, and I love the character of Thor. I had never read Jason Aaron's writing, but through this series really was impressed with how he handled Thor. You know, he was funny, he was epic, and he brought Thors from 3 different time periods together, from the, you know, ancient kind of Nordic Thor when he was young before he had Mjolnir, and then current Thor, which you see pictured here, and then there's future Thor where he's the All-Father and he's got an eye patch like Odin and things like that. So they come together. That's a great combination. Some fantastic stories. And then I stuck with this, with Jason Aaron, I stuck with him all through the God of Thunder, and then into when Jane Foster became Thor, and then when Odin's son became Thor again, got Mjolnir back again. So just really liked his arc on Thor, so would recommend that as well. But this day for $1, I picked up number 1, and for $1, number 17. All right, here we go with some more X-Men books. In part 1 of my video, I had a bunch of Uncanny X-Men's. These, however, are from the volume 2 of the X-Men title, which started in 1991. I was collecting that for a little while and then drifted off and then drifted back and really followed it with the Age of Apocalypse story in the mid-90s and then drifted away again. So I have a lot of holes that I had to go back and fill in. This volume ran for 207 issues. Then it shifted titles to X-Men Legacy, and that ran for however many issues that was, and then it reset again to X-Men Volume 3 with a new number 1, so you know the cycle. That's how it goes. So a lot of holes I had to fill in, and this show was helpful in filling some of those gaps. So going through number 24, jumping ahead to number 38. This was, I think, about 3 issues before the Age of Apocalypse story started, and Marvel did something kind of new-ish, I guess, at the time, where they stopped all of their current titles and numbering, reset everything with new titles and new number 1s, and all of the X-Men books told the Age of Apocalypse story over 4-part miniseries, and then they stopped all of that, and when it shifted back to the regular reality, then they resumed the titles, resumed the numbering right where they left off 4 months or so prior. So, number 38. Another jump ahead here to number 70. That's a cool cover. Just that metallic cover, which was very popular 90s, early 2000s. Like that, how it catches the light and flashes all those colors. That's a cool flashback. Like that a lot. Number 83. 84. 85 on the eve of the Magneto War. 86, getting into the Magneto War. Now, I will also say that I have not read these issues yet. What I typically do, for me, definitely collecting comics is a long game. So I will wait till I have the full volume and then read them all over a period of time. Currently, what I'm doing is reading through the Uncanny X-Men all the way from the very beginning. I have the Marvel Unlimited subscription, so digitally I can read a lot of those older comics, and frankly, they're probably comics I will never own because they're too pricey. But I've read the first 100 or so issues of Uncanny X-Men, and as soon as I hit the point where I have print copies of those same issues, I will shift over and read the print copies, but I plan to read Uncanny X-Men, and then where it hits the point where New Mutant starts, I will read that, and, you know, kind of work my way through all these X-Men books. So I won't get to these for a while. Right now it's just the excitement of filling in the runs and that completionist satisfaction, but then at some point these all will get read. 86. 87. 88. 90. Cool looking. 91. 95. 98. 102. Hey, you know what's cool about this one? The artist here, Lionel Francis Yu, he is an artist name that I know from today's comics because he's very popular in Marvel. You see him on doing cover art and variants, and he does event series, and I think he's doing some of the X-Men from the Dawn of X storyline that's going on right now. But Back when these were coming out and I was reading comics, I wasn't paying much attention at all to the creative teams. I knew the big, super high-profile artists and writers, but I didn't know a lot of these other names. And some of the things that are pretty cool about seeing these are, one, you really realize how many decades, actually, a lot of these artists have been in the industry. They're popular today, but they were drawing and writing 20, 30, even more years ago. So that's really cool to see some of these names that stick around in the industry for so long. But then also it's cool to go back and look at their style then and compare it to now, and you see how that's evolved over time. So but he does a lot of these. I think he's doing, not all, but some of these covers here. 103, 104, 105, cool Archangel. 106, looks like Bishop coming out. Here's another Lionel Yu cover. Super, I think this is actually 2000 is the year this was out, but super 90s extreme feeling there. 109, it's another Lionel cover. 110, and not a number, but an annual 99. Again, it wasn't like annual number 20 or anything like that. It was given by the year. And that's an Adam Kubert cover there. And then the last one for this stack, here we go. X-Men #1. The story was Curse of the Mutants. This is actually volume 3 of the X-Men. I'm not aggressively collecting this. I think it ran for like 41 issues. I don't particularly love the... I mean, this is a decent cover, but generally for the volume, there's not a lot that visually grabs me and draws me in to read it. It's more out of loyalty to the X-Men, line of books that I'm grabbing them, and I can find them all, pretty inexpensively, $1 or less to fill those in. So I'm just kind of casually piecing this together over time, but this was #1 when I first started grabbing that volume. And that does it for this stack. Okay, that's going to do it for this video, and that's going to wrap up this 2-part comic book adventure showing you the books I brought home from the Comic Card Show. I hope there's something in here that you saw that you enjoyed. I will say, no significant keys that came out of this haul, and I'm totally fine with that. Key collecting, while I would love to find the keys for $1 or $2, that doesn't happen very often. Sometimes it does, but that's not the only reason why I'm collecting. I love to fill in these runs of titles. I love to build out these stories with characters and creative teams that I like. So all in all, very satisfying. I'll even compare it to, if you remember Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, everybody would love to get that golden ticket in their candy bar, but even if you don't, you still get a pretty good chocolate bar there to enjoy. So that's kind of how I view these. So lots of good reading ahead. If you have questions or comments, let me know down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.